The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbits, and the man seated next to me is still trying to get the internet on his typewriter. His name is Mike Roth.
I was sure you were going to mention the Cheetos on the sock thing,
Oh,
but you
yeah?
went right to my other fun fact.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like the clickety-clack.
Yeah.
Can't figure out how to hook it up to the monitor, so
Yeah.
it just kind of looks pointless. But
I mean, if you get that dial-up plug-in, you just jam it into the typewriter somewhere.
you're eons in technology for me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
What do I do with this?
Phone jack?
Oh, man. All right, so this week we have several films to discuss. It was kind of a full week for our show. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started, sir, with our streaming spotlight this week. We have a film that debuted on Netflix over the weekend. It's a film called Beats from director Chris Robinson. It stars Khalil Everidge as a young man named August. August, we open the movie, he unfortunately watches his older sister get shot right in front of him in a senseless Chicago shooting. And so the movie is kind of grounded in that of the violence of the south side of Chicago, notoriously one of the most dangerous places for gun violence in the country. And he suffers some pretty serious PTSD, and his mom does as well. She kind of locks him up in his room to keep him safe. Won't really let him out in the world because, rightly so, I guess, she's terrified that he'll get the same fate.
Yeah.
So he kind of sits in his room creating beats and loops while pining over this young girl, Naya, from the safety of his window. Meanwhile, you have Romello, played by Anthony Anderson. He is a security officer at the high school that August would go to. He's tasked with trying to boost actual attendance from the registered students. It's time we'll get our funding from the state, depending on how many students we have here, start bringing some of these kids into class.
Yeah.
And that's kind of his job at the moment. Romello is also a once successful music producer who discovers August and his skill, and they kind of bond, and Romello promises to help August to get discovered and get outside and face his fears, and kind of acts as a mentor of sorts and promises to make him a huge success. And as the movie goes on, we find out that his motives aren't completely altruistic. And
Well, I never got the sense of that in the beginning. It felt like he was kind of a ignorant, selfish person right off in the bat. The only reason why he went to get these kids in the first place wasn't because he really wanted to do right for the school.
Oh, no,
He
it's his
wanted to
job.
borrow $300
Yeah.
from his estranged wife,
Yeah.
and she wouldn't give it to him unless he'd put in a little extra work, which he didn't really want to do in the first
Oh,
place.
yeah.
He's like, that's not my job. And he's like, well, if it's going to be your job, if you want that money. So he goes out and
he's terrible at his job.
stupidly on this list to get these kids in, you had a kid that suffered from PTSD, and not lightly. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a way for him to stay home. He had a severe case of PTSD. This security guy, he breaks in to his room, causing a total suable incident, and could possibly set him back many months, even years, by disrupting his healing period. And instead of going away like he was told to go away, he does the absolute worst thing and becomes a creeper stalker
He's
out in
stalking
front
August.
of the window.
As soon as he finds out that August makes some pretty sick beats,
And
he's like, when's your mom not around? I'm going to come and rap it on your window.
And this movie really makes light of a lot of people who suffer from PTSD, which a lot of cases it is for your entire life. It's not because some guy thinks your beats are real cool, and if he's willing to stalk you enough, you're going to get healed. On top of all that, the beats really weren't that great. I thought the music was really
I'm not one to
uninspired.
judge beats.
I could not get into this movie, and I was actually really angry at how light they treated PTSD.
Yeah.
And how improbable that this school district would have been thrown into a massive debt from all the lawsuits that could have happened.
I mean, I think that the thrust of this movie is trying to, and they do it with a kind of a light touch, but talk about the gun violence in Chicago, because it comes up multiple times in this movie, and you have young kids with guns saying, "I need this," blah blah blah, and then the story of Romello and how August kind of gets used by everyone.
Yeah,
everyone uses this poor kid, and it's kind of sad to watch how he gets used this way. And, you know, Romello, is he going to get his comeuppance as he goes along? You also have a guy who I've been seeing in so many things recently now, Paul Walter Hauser, who we first saw in I, Tonya a couple years ago. He played Sean Eckhart, the big goofball that hit Nancy Kerrigan with the lead pipe.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in the new season of Cobra Kai. He's been just showing up in a lot of things recently. He was in Late Night. He was one of the writers in Late Night, kind of the big kid.
Okay.
Anyways, now he's in this as a big-time hip-hop producer. I didn't necessarily buy his character, but I kind of like that they kind of gave some love to the whole underground Chicago scene, the music scene, and kind of Atlanta kind of gets a lot of that love. And I kind of like that they gave Chicago some of that, bubbling below the surface, and how this is a thing.
Maybe I would feel that if they showed music that felt original, but a lot of their background music that they used during the film was movies that songs that they play in really bad movies, especially dance movies that involve senior citizens.
Yeah.
And those are terrible.
Come on.
And also on top of that, when they had actual skill, where he's like, "Yeah, wow us." I mean, yeah, I'm not super cultured in hip hop, but I know what's original and what's not, and none of that sounded original. Like, I'm going to quit my job for this.
You never know.
If anything, they should have actually gotten the kid real help instead of exploiting him.
I would say on the musical side, if I was the producer of music, your music wouldn't sound anything like it does today, because I hate all of it. So the popular stuff is stuff that I hate. So
well, there you go.
I'm no judge for it. But
you're still stuck on the crooners.
Oh, dude, I only love harmonicas. Give me a good harmonica solo. That's why I love Bruce Willis when he's playing music.
Oh God.
Bruno's the best.
Dislike Bruno.
What did you end up giving Beats, sir?
I gave it a 1.5. It's a stinker.
Ooh, I gave it 3. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I actually really like Anthony Anderson as an actor, and he is almost predominantly a comedic actor, and I like him in a serious role. I think he's a decent actor. He should get more run in serious roles. But let's take a look at what's on the marquee this week, sir. Why don't you start us off?
This one I was slightly excited about, and then I really started liking it. We're talking about the remake of Child's Play. Usually this is not something that is a good thing to say, a remake of a horror movie, but in this case, we kind of reimagine who Chucky is. We're back to kind of the roots of Child's Play, where it's kind of making a statement on consumerism. Andy, he is a boy who just moved in the city with a single mom. Mom doesn't have a lot of money. She works at a department store. She ends up getting a defective toy that she believes he's going to love very much. It's a new Buddy doll that's fully automated and can be attached to anything that is compatible in your house.
Yeah, it'll run your house. It's Alexa.
It's very much taking a stab at Amazon and Alexa. This thing can attach to anything, and what can go wrong? Well, what went wrong was a disgruntled worker, before committing suicide, decided to take off all the and I don't know why all these robots have these things
safety
saying
protocols.
Safety protocols, but in this case it has.
Do you want to disable the kill protocol?
And in a way, they do poke fun at this because they do have references to RoboCop and a bunch of other 80s horror movies. And, well, just like all the other Child's Play, with those safety protocols, Chucky tries to understand the world a little bit around him and notices how much people like violence. And therefore, he figures he can make friends by stabbing them because it's a laughable situation.
If you try and hurt Andy, I will kill you.
Yeah, and this is a series of whoever hurts Andy or whatever Andy doesn't like, Chucky decides to counter this with extreme violence and death.
But interestingly, I checked my watch 45 minutes before our first on-screen kill.
Yeah.
That's kind of impressive to me that they didn't dive in right away. It was 45 minutes until we got our first kill.
I was really enjoying myself so much I didn't notice. But once you started getting into the kills, it wasn't like standard kills at all. These were very graphically horrific.
Here's the thing. I'm the company that's making these buddies, and they're gonna run your house, blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I make it as the creepiest looking doll ever? Because that Chucky design is creepy. Like the original Child's Play movies, that Chucky is sweet. He's my buddy.
Yeah.
He's a cute. This is terrifying right off the rack.
And then we throw in Mark Hamill's voice.
That's
and he does a really good job with a terrifying.
Top-notch voice work from Mark Hamill.
He's great.
Top-notch.
Well, we know him a lot from the Joker, and he did a lot of the animated Joker series.
The thing is this voice is perfect. He's replacing Stephen Dorff, who did it forever. Bradley Dorff. But Mark Hamill's great. It was the voice that he used in Brigsby Bear a couple years ago as the animated bear. Very similar voice.
I don't recall that one.
I don't think you saw it.
Okay.
It was a good movie.
Hard to find. I remember. It was, yep.
And so that was great, having him on. Some things bothered me about this movie.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, I mean, that's understandable.
I hate the usual when a kid has a problem and he goes to a parent, especially, or an adult, and they're like, I don't have time to listen to you, Andy. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, my doll's killing me. I don't, stop talking. I don't have time to listen to you. I'll go to your room. I hate that dismissive thing, and it's such lazy way to write things.
It seems to be in most films about kids who are struggling. It's like almost all of them.
You're a single mom, Aubrey Plaza, single mom, who's more worried about this dude who obviously has been in and out of her life and who your child hates, and then you dismiss your kid when he has an issue. Like, it just frustrated me. And I thought Aubrey Plaza was just kind of meh in this movie.
And there's true, but I don't think she was someone that we're supposed to like. Just like the original Child's Play, we don't connect with a mother.
But that mom in the original one, I was sympathetic towards.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza is just like, whatever happens.
She ended up having a really abusive boyfriend, and she kind of kicked him out and made him play outside even when it's raining. She was unlikable.
And I don't want to spoil anything, but the end of the movie, I mean, you really have to suspend disbelief, even in a killer doll movie.
Yeah. And it reminded me a lot, and this is not a good thing, of Gremlins 2. Where they just throw everything and the kitchen sink at you in order to have a big spectacular scene.
Right.
Not necessary, but at the same time, this felt like an 80s film that had kind of something to say without being too serious. Kind of like Day of the Dead, where it was all about the mall and the consumerism.
Oh, I love that movie.
I thought this was a lot like it. It wasn't out there just to shock and gore you. It was supposed to have a little fun, say a little something, and be a horror movie. I really like this.
I think that it took some time for me to adjust to this Chucky, this design.
That it was rough.
It took me a while to buy in. I do like that they took a time to really build the bond between Andy and Chucky. I like that. I thought that was nice. I thought the script was really uninspiring. I thought it was kind of blah, really predictable. Like everything was telegraphed way out. Yeah. And that was kind of like, this could be really good. And so I enjoyed the movie. I had fun. I liked the Chucky. I think without Mark Hamill's top-notch work, this movie could have been really mediocre. I think he was great as Chucky.
I know this is like a something, but this is also part of the horror genre. I really appreciate the kills that they did. I mean, they really employed some great makeup artists and some robotics and people like that in order to get some of these scenes. Lawnmower scene, that was pretty cool.
Sure.
They didn't rely as much on CG as a lot of horror movies usually do, and that I also appreciate in a horror film.
Yeah.
Not only does it employ actors that really aren't A-listers, but also it employs a lot of makeup artists and people who like to have fun with this kind of stuff.
That's true. What did you end up giving Child's Play?
I gave it a 3.5. Yep, I did. Verified for sure. I had fun. I hope they don't go into a bunch of series like they did.
Well, they're making a TV series as well. They're making a Chucky TV series as opposed to a Child's Play TV series, which Dorff is doing the voice for that.
And
those Chucky movies, we both agree.
Yeah.
Chucky movies were thumbs down. The Child's Play movies, thumbs up.
If they don't go the Chucky way, that would be great. I would actually prefer it if they just end it right now, though.
I don't think that's going to happen, sir. I don't think so. I give it 3 out of 5. It's an enjoyable little horror flick. As we reboot every horror franchise.
Well, we have
Everything gets restarted.
Yeah, good ideas are all dead.
Speaking of rebooting franchise, not even rebooting, just bringing it back to life, we have Toy Story 4 this week. Director Josh Cooley brings Buzz and Woody back. Now, we had a really nice, tidy ending with Toy Story 3. And it was announced several years ago that we're reopening the book. We're doing Toy Story 4. I said, no, thank you. We don't need that. It was a perfect ending with Toy Story 3. But here we are. And our beloved toys, have moved on to a little girl named Bonnie. But our old favorites, like Woody especially, are not her favorites. She likes other dolls. And Woody is kind of left by the wayside in her closet. He is still, though, dedicated to making her happy and helping her at her first day of kindergarten. It's a really sweet scene of that, of him stowing away to help her at kindergarten. While she's at kindergarten, she makes herself a new toy, Forky, voiced by Tony Hale. Forky is basically, he's born from trash and he wants to be trash. And that's all he wants is trash.
I liked Forky.
It's some funny moments with Forky. We also have the return of Bo Peep. And we find out where she's been since Toy Story 2. And like every Toy Story movie, there's going to be a mission that we have to get the toys from one spot to another spot. That's every Toy Story movie. And Woody gets caught up in a mission to make sure that Forky makes it back to Bonnie. They end up in this antique store where we are introduced to a lot of older toys. And Woody kind of soon realizes that he may have another purpose, rather than what we've known. It's your typical, we got to get the toys back. Let's gang together. Here's one of the things that kind of irritated me with this movie was I love the dynamic of Woody and Buzz. Yeah. And Buzz Lightyear was very much a secondary character in this movie. He was basically like, all right, Buzz, you stay back here with the rest of the guys. I'm doing this mission.
He was almost background.
Yeah, he really was. And that kind of bummed me out for what was going to be the last movie, that Buzz was kind of not anywhere in the focus of it.
This movie really felt like a farewell to Woody movie. It primarily focused on him, and his attitude has changed a lot. And I kind of liked it when Woody and Buzz were the duo doing things for Andy. In this one, it seemed like Tom Hanks was more desperate. He knew that he was kind of obsolete toy, but he couldn't come to terms with it, so he gave himself other jobs. He still wanted to be in control, but he's not in control anymore. And that kind of irritated me a bit.
It was weird to see, though. Yeah. To see Woody being like the toy that they don't really care about. That was weird.
I'm not sure if the story was important enough to bring it back.
And that's the thing is, it felt like an obvious cash grab from the outset to me. Like, okay, there's only one reason we're reopening the book on.
Yeah.
And it still feels like that to me in a way. I like the story. I like the Bo Peep story. There's a lot of fun in here. It's still a good movie. And like there's a lot of sequels that Disney Pixar has done that are like, no, thank you. I don't need more Cars movies. I don't need Finding Dory. Like these are obvious cash grabs and extensions onto franchises that don't need them. I still think this is a good movie. I still enjoy it because this franchise is so good.
And Pixar is like top notch, can't be beat for animation. And every time I see a Toy Story, it's almost like they're showcasing what we can do now with animation. And some of the rain scenes were in there were just fantastic.
There's a lot of cool things.
Jaw-dropping, beautiful. But again, should we have had a Toy Story 4? I did enjoy this movie, but it wasn't the blockbuster movie that you really should expect when you see a Toy Story.
I like some of the new characters. I like Ducky and Bunny, Key and Peele doing that. It's tough to recapture that magic, but I don't think they necessarily did a disservice to the franchise. Like this is my fourth favorite out of the franchise. Yeah, but that's a high bar.
I did like the new evil villain, Gabby.
Yeah. She was sympathetic.
She was sympathetic. She was a nice evil person because you got to see where she was coming from, even though her tactics were totally wrong. Yeah. That was terrible.
But there was one of the most heartbreaking moments in this movie was her. Yeah, and I was like, "Aw." And evil doll, I feel so bad for you.
And we can't really mention what happened, but it was sad.
What did you give Toy Story 4?
I gave it a 3.5.
You Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
you did.
Not the best of the Toy Stories. I did enjoy myself. I love the animation. I think if you're going to bring back a movie like this, it should really be out of the park, though.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5 as well. I enjoyed it. I don't feel as bad about this movie as I do a lot of the sequels. Like this will when we rewatch all the Toy Story movies at my house, this isn't going to be like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where we're just watching the trilogy and forgetting that movie ever happened.
Yeah.
We'll watch all 4 of these together.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's cool at least. It wasn't a real bomb for me. So 3.5. We're talking like it's terrible.
No,
It's
it is a good movie. It just wasn't what we wanted.
What do we have next on the marquee, sir?
Unfortunately, we have Anna, which is, I made a mistake. Fun story. I thought this was Annabelle, and I was all excited about seeing Annabelle.
That's a marketing trick.
It is, but this is Anna, which is another Russian spy movie. Just like a lot of the La Femme movies that we've been getting.
I mean, this was directed by Luc Besson, who made La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, this is...
He just revisited some familiar ground.
This is a lot like that and a lot of movies we've been seeing.
We just saw Red Sparrow last year.
Red Sparrow, exactly like this. Maybe done a little better, because the action in this wasn't as good. Let me just go with a story so you know what we're talking about. A lady who is down and out, had nothing going on. The KGB picks her up. They say, hey, you could die this miserable way of life, or you could join the KGB. We'll train you how to be the best spy. In just a couple of years, you'll be able to kick everybody's butt, no matter how senior they are. And then eventually you might get out with a question mark. We don't know.
Right.
And then she does all these jobs. There's one good scene where you're like, wow, that's cool. They play it in all the previews.
You see it in the trailer every time.
You see it in the trailers. Yeah. Of course, there's a love issue, interest in here. There's,
or 2
of course,
or 3.
There's the Americans who are getting in there, who finds out who she is. This is a very predictable story and boring, except for this one scene if you're watching it on TV. If you aren't watching it on TV or listening to us on the radio, it is the preview fight.
It's so weird.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's great. She takes on a ton of people.
Only fun part in the whole movie.
We're talking about Sasha Luss. She plays Anna.
Yeah.
Really, Besson brought her. She was in Valerian, which he did a couple years ago. Brought her from there.
And we have Helen Mirren playing Olga, who is kind of her mentor, who also plays the same mentor character in all these type of movies. Also.
Yeah, I like the supporting cast. I like Helen Mirren. I like Luke Evans as her KGB operative friend / lover, and Cillian Murphy. I love Cillian Murphy as the CIA agent. I like that cast. I hate movies that do time jumps. And this movie does 10 of them, where we open and then it says 3 years earlier, and then 6 months later, and then 5 years previous, and then 2 weeks after. And it's a lazy cheat to writing. And I'm surprised that Luc Besson fell into this, but he did it over and over and over. And it's a way to try and twist you and turn you and make you lose your place in the story, because he has so many twists in his characters in this movie. It's a cheap way to kind of spin you around in a circle a minute, because you're like, well, okay, so wait, now this was before what I saw, and he re-shows you the same scene over and over. This movie didn't need to be 2 hours long, because 30 minutes of it is re-showing scenes we've already seen over and over.
I like it when it's done well, like when Quentin Tarantino does it. It feels
but he doesn't,
good.
But I hate the subtitle every 20 minutes of now 3 years later.
Yeah.
It's trust your audience to figure things out, and then you have to re-show everything.
Yeah.
I hate those.
I'd have to agree. It was brutally boring, and the time shifts really didn't help, especially when you're not invested in any of the characters. Yeah. I didn't really care what happened with point A to point B, because
it
I
was
don't
just
care.
Weird. But Luc Besson's a great director. I love some of his films. This felt like he was cribbing from himself. And that's just weird. Like, hey, y'all loved La Femme Nikita. What about if I made it again? And just, we did this. And it felt more like a Cinemax spy movie to me than a big, it was, the supporting cast is way better than this movie should be.
Well, when La Femme Nikita came out, which was quite a long time ago, that was cutting edge. And it feels still edgy and great today.
We covered it a few years ago.
Is shadowed by Red Sparrow, which wasn't that great either.
It just felt like the twists in this movie that he kept throwing in felt like camouflage for a bad script to me. And I was watching it, and actually, I think that the worst thing of the movie was Sasha Luss. I just didn't care for her as an actress in this movie. Sure, she's fine. I've only seen her in 2 things. Didn't like her in this. And actually, I thought to myself, you know who would be a better actress? Maybe even a little more believable. Maybe because I've seen her doing something similar to this. Ruby Rose. But Ruby Rose in this, I've seen her fight John Wick, and it was believable, and I liked it. And she's got charisma, and she pops off the screen.
Well, the characters that they want in these movies never have charisma. They're always bleak and emotionless, and that what makes you a great spy, because it's all about the sex and being able to have a flat face. It would be nice if maybe they tried something different, and maybe I would have liked this movie a little bit better if they did something different. Also, you went in
expecting a different movie.
And also, I was expecting a killer doll movie.
A third doll movie.
My weekend was supposed to be full of dolls, and I missed one.
I mean, there were some of those Russian nesting dolls in the beginning of the movie, so you got that.
No,
What did you give Anna?
I gave Anna a 1.5.
Yes, you did, sir. I gave her a 2 stars. Cillian Murphy gets a star on his own because I love that guy so much. He's just a great actor.
You know what? I miss doing that, giving an extra half star for things I do like.
Why not?
It's our show. We can do anything we want.
Speaking of doing things that we want, sir, it is definitely summer outside. You go outside right now, it is hot, hot, hot. And it is a great time for us to pack up and go to summer camp.
And we're breaking a rule.
We are breaking a rule this week for this week's Camp Throwback. Normally, our throwback movies must be at least 10 years old, but we said, nay, we break that rule for this because it's summer camp, and we are going back to 2012.
Yes.
That's not 10 years.
No, it's
Doesn't
not.
matter, because this is a great movie, Moonrise Kingdom. This is this week's Camp Throwback film, Wes Anderson's film. Young love leads Sam and Susie to attempt to escape to be together. Sam breaks free from his khaki scout troop led by Ed Norton. So good. As they're camping out on the small New England island, and a search team is sent out for them led by local cop Bruce Willis. And these two are really the epitome of summer camp romance. You meet and suddenly, oh my God, it's going to go forever. We're going to be in love forever. And that romance always has a short lifespan. But the look and aesthetics of this island and the dialogue in this film are like quintessential perfect Wes Anderson to me. And there's the shot, I don't know if it's in this trailer, there's this shot of the water from the beach that they're camping on. And it's like the most perfect shot. It's like this right here. Like, it's the most perfect shot of just, I love everything about this film and just these quirky characters.
And Wes Anderson is the king of quirky. He does a fantastic job. You have your two romantic couples, Sam and Susie. Even though it's a romance, it's almost like this is a romance and we're going to be together because the book tells us how to do it. And I love it. I thought that was so awesome. I saw this first time in the Oriental Theater in Milwaukee, which I know is not a PC thing to say, but that's the name of the place. And it was magical being in a decorative place and watching such a quirky, interesting, artful film.
I think for me, it's my favorite. It's the most Wes Anderson film that he's made, I think. It puts everything
the most Wes Anderson Anderson could do.
This is oddly a weird story real quick. When I saw this movie in the theater, I was so mesmerized by it that I said, I'm just going to sit here and watch it again. And let's do this again. Roll it again. Of course, I paid for that ticket. But it was one of those, like, I'm watching 2 in a row of this because I don't want to leave this world.
I would understand that.
I want to be a khaki scout.
I was with my family. I had to leave. But
leave them. Tell them go on without me.
It's Moonrise Kingdom. I'm sorry.
Sir, let's take a quick look ahead at what is coming soon. We have 2 movies coming out next week. It is the our 4th of July week.
Yes.
So on July 2nd, on a Tuesday, we have Spider-Man Far From Home will be coming out. Pretty exciting stuff. And then the following day, on July 3rd, we have A24's new film, Midsummer, from director Ari Aster, who made Hereditary last year, one of my favorite horror movies. I'm excited for both of these.
Very cool.
A little more for Midsummer, if I'm being honest.
And this week, we're going to have that doll movie I thought last week we were going to have.
We will. Before we leave, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for showing us these movies. Whether Mike liked it or not, you showed it to him, and you're going to keep showing it to him. Thank you for sponsoring our program. We always appreciate that. If you want to find more from us, you can find us online on all of your social medias at Real Reviews TV. Search for that, like us on there, converse with us there. Next week, sir, we're going to be talking about Annabelle Comes Home.
Yes.
We're also going to have Yesterday.
I'm looking forward to both of those.
We're going to have a Camp Throwback movie, which is going to be exciting. And lastly, we're going to do our best of 2019 so far. It's the midway point of the year. It's the end of June. So we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite movies of the first half of the year. I always love that.
This is going to be a great show.
I wonder if any of these movies will make the list. Anna, not going to make the list, I don't think.
I don't think so. I think that one's going to be forgotten as of 5 minutes from now.
There we go. All right, so that's all that's happening next week. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.